Well, greetings ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this channel's first anime top 10. It's Cammy O'Keefe. Yes, I've transferred from one channel to another, if you haven't already noticed. So today, we are gonna count down the top 10 Pokemon regions that need to happen in the future. Now, these are the list of regions I have here. Some are fan-based, of course, and some are my ideas, and some are other people's ideas that I have spoken to outside of YouTube, and they've come up with some really good ones as well. So, I have 10 regions that need to happen on Pokemon, so let's count them down and start off at number 10, and we have the one I'm going to get yelled at the most for, rich and poor. Yes, number 10 is the rich and poor region of Pokemon. Now, all you Poke fans out there may, hate me on this, but let's be honest, wouldn't it be interesting to find regions of rich and poor where you could walk across a particular land, let's just say it's a land, no specified country, although I could specify a country, but I won't, I'll get shot, but let's just specify a great big land that you're walking through all these gyms and regions, and there's a poor section, and there's a rich section. Like you're battling, say there's a homeless gym, which would be something to see. I'd love to see a homeless gym. That would be something. And then there is a wealthy, let's just say, king gym. No, not as in gym, but a gym. Let's just say, so you're battling these poor people, and you start off in the poor region, and you work your way up to the wealthy region. And if you beat all these particular gym leaders, you could also become yourself quite rich and quite wealthy. So I reckon there needs to be a rich and poor region. And the Pokemon I reckon you would probably see would be that, I can't remember its name, but in the new region, the Paldea region, I think it is that cash money stack thing, would be perfect. And for the poor, well, let's just say maybe Trubbish or Grimer. Something like that. That would be something to do. Now, that's one region that someone has come up with for me. So, what a brilliant region that would be. Number 9. Okay, you're probably also going to rip me apart for this. Would be the sick and healthy region. Yes. Now, this region sort of is based off the rich and poor region, if you will, because you can see where I'm going with this, right? So the sick and healthy region would have many chances running around in the sick region part. And in the healthy section, you'd have all these Marchokes and all these fitness Pokemon like Hitmonchan and all them. They would be the healthy section. And in the sick region, you'd have all these Grimers and Trubbish, Weezings and all these particular... So you would have almost like a poison sort of gym, if you will, for the sick part of the region. And in your healthy part, you would have like a fighting type region, sort of maybe even grass with your healing methods. If you fancy eating, leaves off a bellsprout or something like that. If you wanted to see it that way. So, I reckon it would be pretty cool. Plus, with the sick and healthy, you could turn hospitals into gyms. Like our... the episode in the original Kanto series, I can't remember the doctor's name, but he was a particular annoying doctor when Pikachu swallows an apple. Please leave it in the comments if you can remember the name of that doctor and the episode, because I can remember it, I can't remember the details to it. So number 9 would be your sick and healthy region. Okay, moving down to number 8, we go to the young and old region. Yes! The young and old region. Now, this one could be many different variants of whatever you'd like. For instance, you could have all the older trainers, such as all the old guys and old women, that would be like in the old section, and you could have all like the trainers, you could say like Ash, for instance, could come back and be that 10-year-old champion trainer that we all want and love to come back in the young region. Or you could also see it as with, like, say, Pokemon, where you'd have your first form, like as the youngs, like a Pichu and a Togepi. But then in the older section, you'd have like a Raichu and Togekiss or whatever it is that Togepi evolves into. So you could also see it that way. Or if you really wanted to get sort of way out like most regions do, you could have young where it's all in colour and old where it's all in black and white, which would also look pretty cool, to be honest. Okay, moving on to number 7. Now, number 7, okay, shoot me if you will and throw the Bible at me, because we have heaven and hell as a region. Yes. So, what would you expect to see in heaven and hell? Well, of course, you would see the god Pokemon Arceus and I believe it's Giratina, the demon Pokemon, which you'd also see, and they would be like the rulers of these particular areas of heaven and hell region. Now, it could also be like something that the heaven section of this region is full of fairy type and normal type Pokemon, which are, you know, pretty and happy and always good to you. But then you could be in the hell section, you could have like your Houndooms, and you can even have a few fire types and poison types in there just to make your life even worse. Now, here's what I reckon needs to happen. In heaven and hell, right, I believe the trainer for the heaven gym should be none other than Misty. Okay, yep, shoot me if you will. But Misty has that sort of caring-hearted person, if you will. She's always been like that. Always cared for Ash, always loved Pikachu, and always cared for all her Pokemon. So she should be Heaven's trainer. I just believe that, I reckon. Right? I know she's a water type, so rip me apart for that, but I reckon she'd be perfect for it. Now, who would I stick in the Hell Gym? Well, I'll leave that to your imagination. But to be honest, if someone was going to go into the Hell Gym, it would have to be either Todd, the photographer, I know he's not a gym leader, or Iris. But that's my personal opinion, not anyone else's. So there you go. Alright, moving on to number 6. You can see a lot of these regions are somewhat related. So at number 7 we had Heaven and Hell. This is number 6. We now have Light and Dark. Now, this is where it becomes a little bit interesting. Have you ever noticed on Pokemon cards, especially back in the day, you could get dark Pokemon cards like Dark Machamp and Dark Oddish and Dark Ekans, generally based off the Team Rocket set. So, what if you were to have a light section? So, you could have all these Pokemon that can generate light type attacks or control light. Like Arceus, for instance, could also be in the light. And Dark would be anything that's Ghost, Dark type, which is now, or basically anything like that that has this evil streak to it. But the light section could also be the fact of you could also have Pokemon like Bulbasaur who can use Solar Beam as well, which is a brilliant type of idea. So Light and Dark should also be a region, and we'd see many different forms of Pokemon roaming through it, but you would see which one would, you know, be Light and be Dark. I reckon in the Light type Pokemon, you would probably see a lot of electrical types, but you would also see the Chandelier Pokemon and all that sort of, I can't remember the name of them, a Litwick and all those, they could also be light as well. So I reckon that would be something. Okay, moving on to the top 5 now, here we go. At number 5, we actually have 2 places that should well be a region. Yes, it's the North Pole, and for those other people, the South Pole / Antarctica, if you call it the South Pole. Yes, but I know this limits us only to ice, but you could also have different forms of ice types as well. You could have a lot of water types floating around. You could also have a lot of ghost and dark types that wouldn't be affected by ice so as much. You could also use your fighting types, which would be strong against ice. You could use your fire types, but mainly the regions would be based on Antarctica and the North Pole. So, you could also see those Christmas specials that Pokemon brought in 96 and 97. They could also be a part of it. The episode with Jinx in it could also be a part of that region as well. So any ice type Pokemon would be your main type, but you could also bring other types in, but you would travel the icy winter And it would have to be based in a winter season to have this particular region going. So if they're going to make a north and south region, so having the North Pole and Antarctica, you can base your miserable tone on Melburnians, which would be perfect for gym leaders, or you could run around with a bunch of penguins. Piplups, if you really want to. But I reckon that's how the North and Antarctica and North Pole should operate. Okay, top 4. Now, these ones have been circling the internet a little bit, if you will. Okay, give it up for number 4 of the Jamaican region, man. Yes, the Jamaican region. Now, I bring up the Jamaican region in number 4 because I'll tell you something. Lately, in the last couple of years, Pokemon have been throwing ideas out there to, say, the Fakemon community and Pokemon community and the whole thing, right? And everyone's throwing in ideas for new regions. Now, I saw once in a top 5 choice of regions from Pokemon fans that the Jamaican region should be something. Now, I reckon the Jamaican region would really focus on, drumroll if you will, please, grass-type Pokemon. Yes, and I'm not talking about your Bulbasaurs. I'm talking about your Jamaican grass, if you get my drift, people. You should. Jamaica's very well known for it. Now, also with the Jamaican region, I must add, now, if you're of my generation, and a little bit younger as well, and you know that song, Who Let the Dogs Out? Yes, the Baja Men. They should be trainers of the Jamaican region. Now, they would have dog-type Pokemon like Eevee. They probably have a Leafeon, which would be perfect for it. They probably have a Houndoom or something like that just to throw you off. But they would basically focus on grass-type and grass and poison-type Pokemon, if you will. So the Jamaican region could also be based around beach as well. So you've got a little bit of a Lola going on, but mainly grass. Which, yeah, if you get my drift, Jamaican region would be quite fun to see. And I will add, like I said before, it has been in the top 5 ideas for regions due to fans. Okay, number 3. Now this one could be anything that has been made or anything that can be made. Number 3, we have the past and future region. Now, this also could be a bit like young and old, if you will. But past and future basically focuses on what life was like in past Pokemon eras, like for instance, the Great Pokemon War, which constantly hounds all Pokemon fans worldwide. If it happened, it happened. If it didn't, well, it's probably based on like real Earth problems, like the First and Second World War. So you could use the Great Pokemon War as your past, but you could also have these Pokemon who can see the future. For example, Arceus, Alakazam, and Mewtwo. So, you could also have trainers. Now, I'm not just pinpointing Back to the Future, but you could also have trainers such as Doc from Back to the Future, or any other futuristic movies like that. And they would have stuff like all the mechanical type Pokemons, like Klinklang. They'd have a Magnemite. They would have an Alakazam who can use Foresight and all that sort of stuff. But then you go back into the past, depending on how far you go back. If you want to go back to the beginning of Pokemon in the mid-90s, you would have people, you'd have trainers like, I don't know, for example, Britney Spears could be a trainer in the 90s. Would be something to see, but I think I might just leave that one there. So past and future has also been mentioned in fandom clubs around the world as a region, but it's only been talk, not actually made it in the top 5 regions. But past and future would be something to see. If you could time travel. Oh, you could also use that time travel episode, I believe it's Dawn or May, one of them. Travel back in time. You know the episode I'm talking about. Leave a comment. Alright. The top 2 regions that need to happen now, guys. This one has been in the top 5 commented. And someone has actually designed on the internet this particular region. Now, rip me apart if you will, but because someone has already created it, you can't rip me apart first. It's the gay and straight region. Yes. Now, I personally would like to see this happen, but I'm not Pokemon and I'm not everyone else. But I think it would be something to have a bit of a laugh at. But the thing is with this, is Pokemon itself as a whole game enough to go that way? Well, it might well be, since we already have known gay characters in the anime, such as Go. We know he's gay. Professor Ivy from Johto, she's also gay. So, you've got these characters who, in their write-ups about them, have that sort of feel. But it's entirely up to Pokemon if they feel they want to go that way. I personally, if I worked for Pokemon, would do a gay and straight region. The Pokemon for it, well, look, I'm going to get ripped apart, but I'd have to say the Gardevoir line would have to go in the gay section. It just seems to be that sort of Pokemon design. It would fit it. Straight, I don't know, Marchamp sort of line, if you will. I don't know. That's entirely up to my opinion, but I reckon it would be something. Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, I know you have been hanging on the edge of your seat and the edge of your computer to find out what the number one region Pokemon needs to do, and here it is. Number one is, of course, the Yeah-Nah region. Yes, if you know what I'm talking about, it's the Australia region. It has circled YouTube, circled Google, circled Reddit, circled Instagram. It has been bombarded everywhere. People have already made their Pokemon. Pokemon keeps saying it's going to happen, but they never seem to bring it out. Not too sure why. We've already got trainers drawn up. We've got people out there on the internet making Yeah-Nah region actually happen. They've mapped out Australia with all the pathways in it. We have got, Pokemon drawings like Skippy and all those other ones. Paddle, I think, is the platypus one. And all those other. There's Ibin, there's Huntsmare. They are all there. And Pokemon needs to make this one happen. And I, for one, as a massive Pokemon fan, cannot wait for this one to happen. So Pokemon, if you are going to make any of these 10 regions happen, Australia needs to be next. If not Jamaica. I will forgive you if you do Jamaica, but you need to make Australia. So there you go, guys. The top 10 Pokemon regions that need to happen. So you've got, at number 1, the Yeah-Nah Australia region. Number 2, Gay Straight. I'd love to see that, but that's depending on Pokemon itself. 3 is Past Future. 4 is Jamaica region. I'd do anything to see that one as well. 5, North Pole and Antarctica. Yep. 6, Light Dark. 7, Heaven and Hell. 8, Young Old. 9, Sick and Healthy with all those chances running around. And 10, Rich and Poor. So there you go, guys. This has been the first anime top 10 for this particular channel. I'm Cammy O'Keefe, and I want to see Australia region come out next. If not, I'm suing Pokemon, and probably YouTube to go with it. And we'll see you in the next anime top 10 coming to a YouTube screen right your way.